So this is the same system that I use to produce microgreens professionally. The idea was initially, and this is kind of before, and I mean it could still be done in the same way. The idea was to try to automate the number of systems we have in the greenhouse, so that students could go to spring break or whatever the hell without worrying about everything dying. That was the whole concept. In short, you have you have plants taken care of between these two pieces of infrastructure up to we'll call it the first 2 weeks. You could squeeze a little bit more life out of them in this one with some things that I can explain, but that 2-week number is kind of the number you want to hold on to for, again, what this was originally designed to do. All this is a germination chamber. It's just a fridge that's been cut with everything cut out of it. Has some different trays. You can slide 10, 20 trays or whatever you're planting into the germination chamber. This unit at the bottom is just something that holds water, fills automatically, which I don't know how it works for y'all with this one. I don't even know if you've tried it. It's something that I've had a lot of trouble with myself. And then there's a heating element. The reason I built it so that it would fill automatically is if the heating element is ever exposed to air, it oxidizes and burns out, and then you have to replace it. They're only like 13 bucks a piece. It's just money down the drain. So the idea was to have it automated with water so that it's never actually empty.
So it's bad I took the water out because it was rusting?
No, it's fine that the water's out unless the heating element is plugged in.
Okay.
So if it's hot and there's no water, it's bad. If it's cold and there's no water, it's good.
Gotcha.
The only thing it does is heat up the water, which turns into condensation, or it evaporates the water, if you will, creating a high humidity and high temperature environment, which is perfect for germinating plants. So you can use, I mean seriously, anything over here that you would plant with, you can use, and then you can just slide it in there. You don't need to, so like a 10-20 tray of whatever, you can use whatever media you want. So it can be peat moss, it could be soil, it could be a piece of felt, it could be burlap, whatever it is that you want the plant to be planted in ultimately, or however you want to use it ultimately, you can use that here. Does that more or less clarify this? Mm-hmm. It's pretty easy to cook things in there. The two pieces that need to be dialed in, and this is something that just, again, comes with time, really simple. I can repeat this, you can write it down later. It is making sure that the water is actually filling automatically so that when you are gone, when you do take off, that it doesn't fry that piece. Again, the only thing that happens is you're going to fry this heating element. Oh, it's fried already. Yes. Yes, you can see like this piece right here. That's where it's already burned through. So I can show you how to replace that another day, but the short of it is we'll have to do that another time. But it's pretty simple to replace. So the two parts that you have to dial in are just making sure that you're getting enough water to come in without it overflowing. It's not a big deal if it overflows water, it's just wasted water. And then dialing temperature in there, which is what this is for. And it's hard to see right now. You can take that screw out. I'm not going to get it with my fingers and put something else in. But I keep it around 75. You don't want to have it too much hotter than that, or you can actually cook the seedlings. Yeah, I think you might actually grab different bits.
So what about that?
That's how you control the temperature.
Yeah.
That's how you control the heating element. So let's see if it's. not plugged in. It's pretty simple. You just set a like a high point and a low point. So you say like no lower than 68, no higher than 78, if you will, and then it'll automatically keep it within that range. Yeah. So right now, I think it's set between 80 and 85, and the temperature is 62. That's something to play around with. This isn't a perfect system, but it works well enough. Again, for what we're doing, it's like you're gonna have really high germination rates. You're gonna be pretty successful.
So what are some of the issues that you run into?
With this,
Yeah.
honestly, once you get it dialed,
What do you mean by their styles?
back to those two, dialing in the temperature and the water.
Okay.
So once you just kind of like find that sweet spot,
Yeah.
it'll change. And again, like for the purposes of this, it doesn't really matter. But different seeds germinate better at different temperatures, right?
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of an example. Whatever, you can read about it. It'll say a tomato prefers to be germinating at like 68, and a carrot at like 75, right? But again, for what we're doing here, that really doesn't matter. Yeah. So, well, it doesn't really matter. I guess it's burned up. So that's another day. You can come in and I can help you all replace that and show somebody how to do it. It's pretty simple. There's just two wires. You're gonna have to undo a few bolts so you can get the whole element out, unscrew it, screw the new one in, and two wires on.
Did that take a while? Inside, or
No, everything, yeah, it'll pull out from the
So
inside.
that whole thing has to come out? Like the grid?
Yeah, so you'll pull.
That all needs to be
Oh, so it's
So the
just
only piece that needs to be replaced is this.
turn it off actually.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the only piece that needs to be replaced. You can find them at the hardware store. Again, they're like $13. It's just a hot water heating element. That's all it is.
Okay. And if it does say hot water heating elements in, no, that's
Yeah, like honestly, I would take it out. I would walk in with it and say like, I need one of these. They'll walk into the back of the store and give you an exact same one. So that's all that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I was saying, big picture, these two pieces of infrastructure were meant to take a plant from seed to about 2 weeks. They're only going to want to be in here, depending on what it is, like 3 days to maybe 7 days. That same window on the long end will kill other things. So, like when I was doing microgreens, basil would be very happy in here a little bit over a week. If I were doing radishes would have like already gone past their prime and then started to like mold and get all nasty within a week.
Was it being off in there?
Yes, it will. So that's again, this is like for germination. That's all this is for.
Yeah.
Is to germinate the seeds, to have high rates of success with your germination, and then move them on.
So you're looking for like your first two
You don't even have to go that far if you don't want. Yeah, cotyledons, nice. Yeah, so again, I would say like 3 to 5 days maximum. And if you're playing around with it, you'll be able to see pretty quickly if the plant is happy and healthy or if it's already gone past its prime. All right, any more questions, thoughts here?
No, I mean I know that the tank fills with water. We just turned off the water in here because it's monitoring like rich. That seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's really simple. The one I use at home, it was kind of frustrating. I left like the automatic fill piece, but I put a timer into the system as well. What I found is that reservoir isn't deep enough or something. I'm not quite sure what the dynamic is, it won't fully shut off the water with the riser. But I think this one actually does. So just play around with it, and again, less pressure. There's going to be less pressure pushing down on the float, so it's easier for it to shut off whatever else. Okay, so this system.
Yeah.
You said you already understand how this one works?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea how. So let's make a question mark. And then, so, okay. Well, you're
Looks
just
like
gonna
pause.
explain it. So,
This is pure and simple a flood and drain system. All it is 2x4 flood tray or flood planes that are linked together. So there's a pump. Oh, it's meant so it can hook up to this pump
yeah.
right here, which is a whole different conversation. That was a piece of like the next division. You can hook it up to any pump you want. All you need is a reservoir of water or nutrient solution. There's a difference between the two. That is lower than the highest container or the highest tray you want. So let's say this whole thing comes out and you're using another reservoir, that's fine. You can just set it on the ground. It just can't obviously go under this one so the water can't flow back in. So this would be your bottom tray. Does that make sense? Whatever holds your fluid has to be lower than your lowest tray. That's the only math you need to do there.
Okay.
So you mean that's the last one you can put plants in, and then
Yeah, so if I had a big tank of water right here, the water wouldn't flow with gravity. It wouldn't flow down and then back into the tank. I would need an additional pump, right? Because the level of the water's here. So this would be my lowest one. If I can sink it, like this reservoir, then I can use all of these trays.
Okay.
The only point is that your water has to be lower than the lowest flood tray.
Okay. So once, I don't know if you know the answer, but once, because they're doing the aquaponics again, once there's fish in there, is it going to be safe to be pumping that water?
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
That was a piece of the vision originally, though, was to use the same nutrient solution, in this case, the water with fish,
Yeah.
for feeding the plants here. So, but yeah, again, we'll talk about that. Coming back to this just real quickly, there's nothing in here except seeds, your media, again, soil, felt, cocoa core, whatever it is, and water. There's no nutrients.
Yeah.
Maybe some nutrients in the soil or whatever, but the plant has everything it needs up until the point that it has the first two.
Cotyledons.
Nice. So when you bring them over here, you can get away with some of that. And when I'm doing microgreens, I actually don't use any nutrient solution. I only use water. There's really no need for it.
Yeah.
But there's a limit on that. So when I was saying like 2 weeks, that's if this system is just run on water alone. No nutrient solution from a bottle, no nutrient solution from fish, whatever. Water alone, you're looking at like a 2 weeks maximum that a plant is going to be happy in here. After that, you have to supplement it with nutrients from whatever source you want. Just a little note for you. This is really simple. It takes a pump, pumps all the way to the top here, right through this, and then it drains out to this end, comes into this tray, drains out in this end, drains out, and then it'll drain back out. So it's just a big zigzag of drain.
So should these trays be angled?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened. At one point this was level, and now it looks all wonky, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal to fix, just a little bit of work.
Well, do you want it level? So you want the trays level? Or
Yes.
Do you want
No.
them slightly angled?
No, you want them. You actually want them level, so you can see right here.
Yeah.
And wow, it's really nice and dusty. Here, where these actual little towers are,
Yeah.
these flood towers, this is lower than the rest of the tray.
Oh, so it's designed.
So it's designed so that it'll
Okay.
flow this direction.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and there's always going to be a little bit of water sitting in here in between these
Yeah.
ribs, if you will. Again, these you're going to have ideally full of different plants and whatever else. So yeah, you can play with that whenever.
Yeah.
Height, with these lights, so these are actually grow lights. They're not just like halogens. They'll grow plants. They will burn plants if they're too close. So one thing to play with, and you can change the height of all of these, right? So you can have like shorter trays up here and then taller trays down here. But too close to the light and the plant will burn, which again is just something you have to play with.
So, since I took out this table, what do you need?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Since we took out this table, I was kind of thinking, maybe it's like, depending on how intense our microgreen operation gets,
Yeah.
it depends on Sean. We're gonna use this for our starts too.
So,
That should be fine, right? As long as there's nutrients.
absolutely.
Or if they just do water, can we come through and like spray compost tea? Yes.
You could.
Yeah.
I would be really hesitant about spraying something with compost tea and then eating it as a microgreen.
Well, no, not the microgreens, just the starts.
Gotcha. Try it, sure. But you are correct that in terms of needs, with the one exception, nutrients,
Yeah.
microgreens is the exact same as seedlings until a certain. That's it. There's no difference. There's literally no difference. You treat them exactly the same. If you want it to keep growing, you add nutrients. If you want to eat it, you just use water.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. The piece, and this is something that we had never really decided or settled on when I was building this, but I envisioned a place where this was a part of the like the larger grow operation. So if the garden is like where everything ultimately goes,
Yeah.
then these beds and the stuff in the middle was meant to be taking things through the adolescent times, if you will, when they're ready to transplant. You can have a few things in here that you're harvesting, you know, your banana tree, that's really cool and pretty, and whatever else. Everything else, in my mind, in my vision, would be a part of a larger aquaponic system. So this would be the reservoir that you're using for the fish. There's a couple things you need to do there, which I can help you with. Cycling the nutrients, balancing the tank. I've done a number of times on smaller tanks, which is, if you want a tank to learn with, honestly, I have a fish tank I can throw you all. I can teach you how to do it. It's super fun. That's how I got into all of this, was like doing aquaponics and vermiculture in my closet. So the idea in my mind was to use the same nutrient solution to water and to feed the plants in here. At one point, there was the big nasty thing hanging up on the wall there. People were talking about reusing that. Using plants in the actual tank, if you can, if you like. There's all sorts of different ways of growing with aquaponics. Once you have the basic ingredients of water and fish, you can figure out how to cycle the nutrients for the health of everything. But I wouldn't do that again if these are microgreens, and that's mostly out of a health concern. I wouldn't be too worried if I was doing it myself, but if I was selling these to somebody or giving them to people, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So we're trying to do Sodexo again.
Yeah, and which would be fine if you're doing the Sodexo for something that you're going to grow to fruit, like to full lifespan. As a microgreen, though, I probably wouldn't. I would keep them separate as well as you could.
So that basically means that we need to find a different reservoir for microgreens.
Correct.
Okay.
What you could do, and again, this would be, I don't know, you have to navigate this with the Sodexo. But what you could do is pretty simply like separate these two systems, or this system into two systems. So let's say like this bottom 2 or 3 trays are for seedlings, and the water they use is from this. And these top few is from a separate reservoir that's only for microgreens, and you can just build like a little container. You probably need like a 20-gallon reservoir, which I might actually have one if you need it, to use just for water for that. So you can separate the two systems, keep them stacked on top of each other for space saving,
Uh-huh.
but then you wouldn't have to worry really about contamination. If somebody from Sodexo came in here, like you wouldn't pass an inspection for like an organic, you know what I mean? But it would work.
Yeah.
It'd be effective.
So then,
I wouldn't be worried about it.
okay. Okay. And where does this flow out? Just flows out?
Yeah.
It's supposed to just flow out back
These two
into
right
the
here.
reservoir?
Yep.
Okay.
So again, this was, I think, higher at one point as well.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. And then
Excuse me.
on a timer of some kind.
Yeah, so I don't think there actually is a timer here, but for all of it, that's what I would just like the $5 timers.
And you can do that. Yeah.
Yep.
With just the actual pump.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
So like a Christmas light timer.
Yeah, Christmas light timer. You can use, so you can do it a number of different ways. If you want different lights running on different schedules, either for like an energy reason or perhaps you don't have all the lights on, you can just run a like an outlet, like a splitter out of a timer, or you can obviously just put timers into the splitter. So really, like, totally up to you. It gets pretty janky pretty quick
Yeah.
with extensions and splitters and timers, but it's effective. And they're like $4 a piece, or you can buy really nice ones that are like $80 a pop. So yeah, it's just, it doesn't really do math.
Okay. And then how many? I mean, what kind of schedule would you recommend
For what?
for watering?
For watering, when I was doing microgreens, a lot of it would depend on the temperature, whatever's going on with the sun here. I was growing like in a basement, so I had zero outside influence. I would consider watering microgreens maybe like once an hour. And again, microgreen, this, I mean anything within that like range.
Yeah.
Something, a seedling that's a week or so old.
How big was how big was the pump that you had on? You know?
Oh,
Was it that?
No, nothing even
Yeah, I was about to say,
near that
yeah.
large.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose that pump because you're pumping such a high distance, and so that you can pump several different directions if you need to.
But so what pump did you use on the microgreens when you talking about?
Oh, just like a 750 gallon an hour
Alright.
pump.
So run it once every hour, like 2-3 minutes.
So again, the way the timers work, they're usually in 15 or half-hour increments. I wouldn't worry about it. I would run it for, yeah. Again, it's a $4, $5 timer. Run it for half hour. During the day, I would make sure they're getting water. I would make sure that they have water all the time. So I wouldn't ever let them dry out when they're getting sunlight.
And you were trying to.
When I was growing inside, I would only water maybe like 5 or 6 times in a 24-hour period. But again, that's because I didn't have any sunlight and I had my temperature really controlled.
When you were draining this, was it draining into the aquaponics? You said it's a flooded drain.
Yeah, so we've never actually, we set the
Never had
system
this
up and then
up,
we never
no.
run it because they're
Wow.
cleaning this out. This is like why we were pulling out the banana tree. We were pulling out the banana tree so that we could empty all of this out, so that we could clean it, so that we could use it as a reservoir for just microgreens or for aquaponics.
Okay.
So things move slowly.
Here it is.
Here it is.
It's happening finally.
I've used this system before, but just never in this place. So this was the system that I built and used myself. I have a different system that I use now.
So this was never actually. It's never been used
It's never been used here.
here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got one more question. What is the giant T5 doing up there?
No idea.
4x4 doing up there.
No idea. Yeah, that
I
is.
think that was just hanging on the table, and then we were thinking
Ah,
to
yeah,
use
you're right.
that for the
Point
top
at it again for me one time.
level.
Huh?
Point at it again for me one time.
The just that light on top. 4x4
It's a
T5.
nice light.
It's really.
Yeah. So Telly, if you want to figure out how to suspend that from the ceiling.
Oh Lord, yeah, I was looking at that, but I don't know.
Something.
Potentially.
I wouldn't worry about that yet. That could be an easy last step.
Let's get these
Yeah.
first 3 working, and then. And do we have a thing for the bottom one?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. Well, we'll get the first 3 working, or maybe 4.
Where did you get these from, Ethan?
The hydro store.
That's where I know you from, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I figured that out right when you said microgreens. I was like, I met you in June 2016, man. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You didn't have a beard back then.
I have a much shorter beard.
Yeah. That's what I thought the same thing when I first met you. I was like, maybe I know this guy. Yeah, I remember you building your system. You were telling me it was in the basement and everything.
This is the first system.
You looked for like some valves or something like that.
I had no idea what I was doing with any of it.
I remember that.
One thing that I did with all of these is they all have individual input valves, so that you can shut it off at whatever point you want going up. So if you only want to run 2 of these trays, you can basically just turn off these other valves, open the valve here, it'll fill here, and then flood drain down. That's funny.
I know. I was like, that's
So if we wanted to make like the bottom 3 trays connected to the aquaponics and this connected to the top 2 connected to a different reservoir, how would we do that?
So are you talking about in terms of actual fittings?
Yeah. Like
So
this
you-
can still flow into here.
No, all you would do is make this,
Yeah.
instead of flowing into the next tray, this would be your return to the reservoir.
Oh, okay.
So
this
however
cycle
you,
through.
if you're building something, if you raise this up higher and you put your reservoir here so it flows back in, there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Okay. And then you just, would I just
I mean, honestly, you
put
could
in
even,
like a T, another T right here? or
so you would
something?
just, and this is something that he could help you with, you would actually just like disconnect this whole line, maybe cut it here, fold it, and then you would just have your, you could cut this off so that it starts on the other side if you want it, and then pump it. Really simple.
Gotcha. Sweet. Do you guys have any other questions?
I don't think so. You just gotta get that thing level so it'll keep going.
Yeah, and then again, if
That's it.
the vision was for it to flow back into here, if that's what you want, raise it up a little bit higher, level it out, and then you just start pumping water and see how it does. You don't have to do anything else with it right now.
So it'll pump at like the appropriate flow rate. It's not
Yeah,
gonna-
so you have some different ball valves here that you can play with.
Okay. So just mess with it.
And that's something that you do have to kind of, there's no good way around it, play with,
Yeah.
is how you want to be able to overwhelm one of these towers
Okay.
and the other one to be able to drain fast enough. So you're kind of controlling the level between the two. Yeah, like right there. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So you can play around with that.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see, you can probably stop